Okay. Welcome back to What's Niggling Me. I know yesterday I was thinking my episode probably sounds crazy, my thoughts on what those drones are, but there was a couple things I didn't mention. I might have mentioned it before, but maybe I didn't, and I don't know if anybody that is watching this might not know that the United States and Canada have patent secrecy acts. So if you try to invent something and the government deems that it's top secret, that invention could threaten national security or something stupid like that, they just stamp top secret on it, and they deem what it's worth, just like when say you try to IPO your company and they deem what it's worth. Kind of like if you're going to arbitration and you're an athlete for your new contract and the mediator comes in and determines what your worth is, that kind of thing. And then the government gives you money and says you're never allowed to make whatever you're making. Like if you made a car that could run on water and you try to patent that idea, the government will be like, no, here's what your invention's worth. You're never allowed to make a car with water, because that will kill the gas companies and our economy. Can't threaten our economy like that. So look it up. There's secrecy patent laws, and they don't have to tell you anything about it. They don't have to tell you how many there are, but there is a act in Canada and the United States. I don't know if you know what DARPA is. DARPA is like a defense act fucking thing. Defense agency. They are working on the most high-tech, advanced technology that there is. Except there's this, I've mentioned Palantir before, and that's Peter Thiel. That's Peter Thiel funding. Peter Thiel doesn't really do anything for that company. That company, I heard the guy, what's that guy's name? Joe Lonsdale. I think that's the guy's name. One sec. Joe Lonsdale. Now, Palantir. Google it. It's scary. Joe Lonsdale believes that, he noticed that military defense, there was an opening for him to make a lot of money. He thought things weren't safe in the United States, apparently. So anyway, Palantir. Look up the cyber system. They know everything that's going on in the world in real time. So Joe Lonsdale, the mind behind Palantir, Peter Thiel's the funding. This guy was an intern at PayPal when Peter Thiel was at PayPal with fucking Elon Musk. So this guy interned. He's a bright mind. I've listened to him, and I've read about him. And this guy is young. This guy's in his 40s, and he is going to be a part of all the new advances in everything. He's going to be a part of it. Data mining. Data is super important. People's information is so important. This guy's all about, this guy was doing this before AI. This guy, Joe Lonsdale, he's real excited about AI because it's going to make his companies be able to do things at an unbelievable rate. So this patent thing, this guy was even talking about this. They can do this with fusion technology, this guy's talking about, okay? That's why the stuff I said yesterday might sound insane, but it's not insane. I've listened to these guys. I listened to all these fucking tech guys. And a lot of the stuff they say seems like futuristic. But Joe Lonsdale says, okay, say this, the Patent Secrecy Act. If you go and you, this is my hypothetical that I think kind of applies to this guy. You invent a light bulb that can produce 100 watts of power, but only uses 1 watt of power. It's only using 1 watt from the wall, but for some reason, with whatever technology, it can produce 100 watts. Now, the government's like, no. You can't be saving technology, top secret, you're not allowed to do that. Well, this guy says that with cold fusion, they're already close to producing double the power. And then he was talking with AI, they're going to be able to produce 1 billion times the power. This guy's all about, he doesn't like Bill Gates. This guy's a pretty political guy, which is surprising. But Peter Thiel sounded kind of like that too. He knows, just like I said before in one of my things, I don't like all these people. I don't like the majority of them. But you have to watch what they're doing, like Larry Fink. You have to watch what these people are doing because that's the way the future is going to be directed by these people, these rich fucks. Especially with Trump in there and deregulation of these certain industries. Joe Lonsdale. Go look up all this guy's companies. This guy's trying to shape the world. With AI, this guy is just preaching AI and how great it's going to be able to be for his companies. I promise there's never going to be any soldiers except for Black Ops people and drones with AI facial recognition. That's what it's going to be. Joe Lonsdale's a scary person. Even though he seems real nice, the way that guy's brain works, he's pretty scary. Where's my ashtray? Give me 1 second. So beware Joe Lonsdale, DARPA, NORAD. I went to a NORAD facility a long time ago when I was a kid. Because there's one outside North Bay in Canada. That is like NORAD's like a aerospace, a Canada, United States joint aerospace fucking company. They just play stupid with the public. Because a lot of the public are fucking dumb. Look how many people got that stupid shot. Because they thought it was going to stop the spread. Even though it was untested for that. Justin Trudeau, obviously we fucking knew. He's not going to try and run for prime minister in the next election. Chrystia Freeland's gonna try and do it. She fucking sucks, the finance minister. Our economy is trash. I remember those truckers, they didn't want to get the shot. And our government was like, your body, our choice. And said, we're going to freeze your bank accounts if you don't get the shot. Our government put an emergency act in that years later they determined there was no reason to authorize it. Because we live in a government corrupted society right now with our stupid green climate change, Green New Deal fucking garbage. We waste our money on that. We waste our money on Israel. We waste our money on Ukraine. This shit's harsh. We let colleges and universities become for-profit industries. And I wrote a thing in I wrote a note today. I wrote a funny thing I always hear. Oh, I hear people use this all the time over the years. There was one other one I told my brother yesterday. We have a moral obligation. I hear that one not for Israel. Israel, they always just say they were unprovoked, they have a right to defend themselves, blah, 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 blah. For Ukraine, we have a moral obligation. That's what they say. For Ukraine, we have a moral obligation to help them beat Putin, which is never going to happen. But that's the line they use. We have a moral obligation to defend democracy. When there was a coup and he was installed, and Zelensky, Voldemort there, he's got a Lex Friedman podcast. I have to watch it because I need to watch it with subtitles. Zelensky, he's an actor, and our prime minister, the person leading our country, he's a drama teacher. So we just got two fucking puppets. We have two puppets. Voldemort Zelensky, that fucking loser. He's just been living the life for the past 4 years, getting so much money. Letting his fucking people die. They've been letting prisoners out to go fight. I seen one, a 40-something years old, just fucking died recently. But we have a moral obligation to send them money for some fucking reason. I don't give a fuck about Ukraine. It's a bunch of bullshit. Crimea, Donbass, those fucking regions, they're going to be Russian. Voldemort Zelensky, you know what language he grew up speaking? Russian. Not Ukrainian. Russian. That was the dominant fucking language. But they need their democracy, right? Fucking bullshit. No money. Our finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, the one that's going to try and run for prime minister here. Yeah, she loves Ukraine because her grandpa was an editor for a newspaper putting out propaganda in Poland from 1940 to 1945. He was the editor. So he gave the final say on all the propaganda while the Jews were getting exterminated. That's Chrystia Freeland, our finance minister's grandpa. That's why she loves Ukraine. Chrystia Freeland's grandpa supported the SS. And the SS are still in Ukraine. I get why Ukraine supported the SS. The Soviets were starving them. They were the Soviets during Chrystia Freeland's grandpa's time were letting the Ukrainians starve to death. They were eating each other. I remember reading the good died young because they didn't prostitute themselves and eat people, kill and eat people. It was pretty crazy in the 30s in Ukraine. And so because of that was Stalin, not Lenin. It was Stalin doing that. They decided to fight for Hitler, the Ukrainians. How about that? They forget to tell us about that on the news. That's why we have former Nazis in Canada. We just ignored it. Our finance minister, she thinks that minors in Canada should be able to get puberty blockers. It's on the Canada website. I looked it up. You're not allowed to get bottom surgery unless you're 18, though. But you can get your fucking tits cut off if you want, if you're a fucking minor. You can, there's no age limit for for a girl, if a girl wants to be a boy, they can be a child and take testosterone, and and you know what that does? That means that your kid is sterilized and will never be able to have a baby if they decide they're actually a girl. Later in life, you're sterilizing your fucking kid. And if your boy thinks he's a girl and you suppress his testosterone, he's gonna just have a little boy dick. Our government supports that. Not me, though. Not me. But yeah, our government, for some reason, is, I don't know if someone's getting kickbacks, but they let the colleges and universities run wild. And, oh yeah, we have a moral obligation. That's where I was going. So for some reason, even though I always hear we have a moral obligation, we do not go to countries like Liberia, Burma, or Myanmar. Why don't we don't go to the Congo. We don't go to, I don't fucking know. Trying to think of a real interesting place. I don't got it. A few of those ones I named are pretty interesting. Oh, hey, let's go to Libya. Since Hillary Clinton and her fucking minions over there got rid of Gaddafi. And now they have fucking slave trades going on there. What about the moral obligation to instill democracy into these fucking countries? Why does Israel get this great treatment? Why does Ukraine get this great treatment? And a little country like Libya has a slave trade going on. I'm pretty sure in Myanmar too. It's dangerous. What about Turkey? What's that guy's name? Erogene. I think that's how you pronounce it. Erogene. That guy's a piece of shit. Turkey, that leader there, he's a piece of shit. And the oldest civilizations are in that country that we know of. And the leader of that place is a real piece of shit, and they've been able to do whatever they want. He's a real fucking Islamic motherfucker. Look it up. Erogene, the leader of Turkey, that cocksucker. He's a real Islamist fucking guy. Doesn't like Christians. Me, myself, I'm not a religious person. I'm quite curious about it, though. And I feel like I'm going to have to read the Old Testament, and I'm going to have to read this Mark guy. Because the world was built off, or civilizations, since they were coming about, were all about religion. So much of the shit is dictated off of religion. And then the pagan stuff, like Christmas and stuff. A lot of the pagan stuff was just misconstrued into what we have now. I'm gonna have to read religious stuff, even though, but I'm not I don't have any bias. I was raised Roman Catholic, and it was fucking boring. I had zero interest in it, but they didn't portray it very well. It's just like everything else. All of our teaching systems are pretty shit, and they don't portray things very well. So I didn't have a good, my brother told me, he said the funniest thing, but I've thought about it for a week, at least when he told me it. He said, when I was growing up, I thought history was fake. And that might seem like, what? But then they don't portray it very well when we're growing up. I don't know. Our school system didn't do a good job of that. They fucking showed you a few movies or whatever. They told you some dates. We had zero clue what it was like. I had to grow up and learn it myself. I literally had to learn it all myself. I feel like I'm self-taught in so many things. Minimal things. I forget what the word is for it. But like school taught. And not Terrence Howard taught. But I suppose, yeah, I guess I'm Terrence Howard taught. But I'm not claiming I'm some fucking genius. I just am good at memorizing things I'm interested in. And I get why it was hard for them to portray, to make it very interesting for young boys. How to make a lot of those things interesting. Because war and history were pretty fucking gruesome. And I'm working on it. I'm doing a Soviet podcast. It's horrible. But of all the different time periods I've looked up, it sounds like one of the craziest was the Bolsheviks, Lenin into Stalin, that Soviet regime is pretty interesting, and we don't get taught that at all. We barely get taught about World War II. Unless you're going and taking like I'm talking up to like your, I think grade 10 history is your minimum type shit that you got to take. And I got all the way there, and I knew about Anne Frank, and I knew that Hitler gassed Jews. I knew what he looked like. I didn't know anybody else's name involved in World War II. I didn't know that Japan. I didn't know anything with going on with Japan. I didn't know. I don't know. I would love to talk to like 30 people my age that went to my high school and ask these like types of questions like, what did you learn from about World War II in school? And I just feel like the answer is Anne Frank and Hitler. We don't know why I swear, like, nobody tells you why it started. Nobody tells you, like, I swear, we just got a bad view of it. And the United States are made to look like the heroes. Basically, I just remember Hitler bad, Jews were scared, Anne Frank hid in an attic, and they found her diary eventually. Now, people were hiding in attics during all time. And I did hear a scarier story than Anne Frank when I was learning about World War II. And it was a Jewish woman that was hiding with her kids. And the one kid wouldn't stop crying and being loud, so she was holding the kid and holding over their mouth, and by the time she let go, she had suffocated her baby because she was so scared of while the Germans were raiding the house. That didn't happen in Anne Frank. Or we don't know, because the real gory details are usually left out. And I read a lot of gory details about what the Soviets did when they came in. You know, we hear about how the Americans went in, but from the other side, Soviets went in. They went into Poland, Romania, Czechoslovakia, when they got into Germany, where did they go? They went into the Baltics. The Soviets went into Latvia, Lithuania. They went into all these countries. And for some reason at the end, the Americans just let the Russians do what they did. They say better dead than red, because what this fucking Soviet communists were doing was nasty. I can't even imagine that these people did these things to people and then went home and had a family possibly. I can't even imagine. PTSD, like what they were doing to people. Like, Stalin gave the go-ahead on rape. You worked hard during the war, so you needed rewards. Shit was crazy. They were tying women's legs. One car tied one leg, tied a leg to another car, and splitting women in half. What The fucking, what people are capable of is insane. What people are capable of is mind-blowing. Also, the shit people are doing within the last 100 years to each other is fucking crazy. Now there's some heroes. There's some fucking crazy. There's a person. I'm gonna go with his name is Vitor. See, I was like Vitor Pulaski, something like that. This guy went through hell trying to create uprisings in concentration camp. This guy went through crazy shit, and I'm pretty sure they murdered this guy. Like, in the end, this guy survived and everything, and the new regime that got in killed him, like murdered him. Okay, but I have a thorough, what I've learned, thorough podcast episode of what the Soviets did to help win World War II, if you want to call it winning. This is how crazy it was. Putting a grenade to your head and blowing your head off instead of getting captured was a better option. People did that. That's how crazy it was. That's how what word on the street was. If you get captured by the Soviets, that's how bad it's going to be. And I will try to give my interpretation of the torture they were doing, because I read about the torture, the psychological torture. If they didn't kill you, I'll explain that. But to say all that, what people are capable of is insane. That's why Epstein is not a big surprise to me. That's why Bill Cosby's not a big surprise to me. That's why Joe Biden's not a surprise to me. And his daughter's diary that was admitted into evidence because a girl that she lived with, Ashley Biden, stole it. And Ashley Biden took her to court, and so it got admitted into evidence. And it says in there, she thinks she was too old to be showering with her dad, and they took really long showers. Then I've seen Joe Biden sniffing and touching kids pretty fucking in a weird manner, in my opinion. I seen this girl, and I'm pretty sure maybe I seen her on TV. I don't watch TV because it's garbage now, and it's just trash. And like, just like every sports fucking thing, they got the token female on there, and now there's good girl journalists, but it's forced. And if you watch any sports, you know that it's clearly forced. It was never a thing, and then all of a sudden it's like mandatory to have women on every single fucking segment there is. And I like Sage Steele. I don't mind her. She's good. But like, it's forced. And there's this one girl, she did this show with Shannon Sharpe. I'm pretty sure when I seen this girl's picture, that's the girl that Shannon Sharpe did a show or whatever you want to call it, a segment. I don't fucking know what they call it on ESPN. And she was just fucking a bunch of guys. Apparently, there's this lawsuit that just came out with her name, Taylor Joy. I think that's her name. I'm pretty sure that one chess show. Can't think of it, but that, you know, that there's this, oh, she's South African, Argentinian, Anna Taylor-Joy. That's what this name reminds me of. It has nothing to do with any of this, but that's what that name reminded me of. But I seen this girl was just pulling a Kamala and fucking her way to the top. Can't blame her. Just don't complain. But you work with what you got. It's not, it's like a union, I suppose. Like, the most qualified don't get hired, but it's who you know. It's the connections you make. Fucking you right at the top. Kamala did it. Almost got to the top. She got right there. But she was fucking her way to the top when there was no internet in San Francisco. All the fucking women that fucked Weinstein and didn't say anything, they weren't part of the Me Too. There's a bunch of them, right? There's a bunch of girls that fucked Weinstein for sure, and they didn't say anything because they were happy with the jobs they got. I don't know. They could have said no. Look at Harvey Weinstein. They just wanted a job real bad. They say everybody's got a price. Really, I just wanted to add my additional notes about DARPA, NORAD, Joe Lonsdale, who started Palantir, the Secrecy Acts. Just to add on to yesterday, that sounded crazy probably, that I believe that there's technology, that they're using quantum mechanics to teleport things. Joe Lonsdale talks about that type of thing. It's possible. He said his company is going to become bigger than Raytheon. The biggest weapons company in the world. Joe Lonsdale plans on having a company bigger than the biggest weapons company in the world. Crazy. What's going on technology-wise is insane. And they can't even put me in Grand Theft Auto. If I could be virtual reality in Grand Theft Auto, then you could just keep the peasants busy. Was there anything I wanted to mention? Fusion power. Fusion. Pretty interesting. I'm going to be looking into that. This person told me this today. I got to look it up. Makes me laugh. This person told me this girl that he's trying to hook up with has this issue. And it made me fucking laugh. Called cannabinoid hypernemesis syndrome. And he's like, tells me she smokes too much weed. And this girl's like, I don't know how old she is, but she's young. She's 20 maybe, I don't know. She's a young girl. She smokes too much weed, so she's got this fucking thing. And I'm like, what's it called? I gotta write this in my notes because I never heard of it. I try to be light about it because I just sense bullshit. You smoke too much weed. She smokes too much weed and got this. I'm like, I don't fucking think so. Like, I've been smoking weed for 2 decades and missed fucking 10 days or less. I know a guy that's been smoking weed for 50 fucking years. So I'm like, what's this thing called? I'm like, let me put it in my notes, and I just want to look up the person. It makes you sick or whatever. You're sick from smoking too much weed, apparently. So I'm like, I gotta look up who came up with this thing and the studies on it, because this makes me laugh. I'm like coming up with this. You know how many you say, oh doctor, I'm feeling like shit, I'm sick. You know how far cannabinoid hypernemesis syndrome would be down there? You know how many other things make you sick? And you're telling me a doctor came up with cannabinoid hypernemesis syndrome? And then so he's like maybe not believing me that I think that this doesn't make sense. And he's like, look, and he's like, it's in 0.0000057% of people. What kind of fucking studies are people doing to come up with this? Makes me laugh. So I have to look this up. Hilarious and stupid. And then he tells me, so I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, you know, like I've been smoking. If I didn't smoke this concentrate, I would probably be smoking 6 to 10 joints every day. For fucking a long time, I've been smoking the equivalent of 3 grams, up to 7 sometimes, maybe, depending on who I was with. I've smoked, me and friends have smoked an ounce in a day. But I'm a regular user, and I'm not sick, so I'm telling him this, and he's like, oh, but like she puts tobacco and then weed in the bong, and I'm like, well, I bet you she didn't tell the doctor that. I bet you she didn't tell the doctor that she's ripping unfiltered tobacco out of the bong. And if she told him that, he would say, yeah, that probably does make your stomach upset. She's ripping poppers. Like, it made me fucking laugh that this girl's got what? He even used the acronym for it. It made me laugh. CHS. I'm like, these fucking dumb doctors coming up with this stupid ass shit. Cannabinoid hypernemesis syndrome. Probably said that wrong the last 7 times I said it. But I find it hilarious. Alright, I don't know how long it's been, but we're signing this off till tomorrow because tonight I'm gonna watch, I think, well, hopefully it's out, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. Tonight, and tomorrow apparently episode comes out. So I'll give you an update on what's going on that, because that is fucking a wild story. And then I'm watching this documentary because this guy did this documentary before on King Von, and maybe most likely you don't know who that is if you're watching this and you're this far into it, but he was a rapper, and he was killing people, a bunch of people. He was living that life, and his buddy was Lil Durk, and Lil Durk was doing it too. So I'm watching a documentary on Lil Durk because
if King Von was alive today, he'd be in jail with what is known now. And so Lil Durk, what's known now, he's in jail. He's dumb, but also I didn't grow up where he grew up. I didn't have that family that he had. Lil Durk's in trouble though. He ain't beating this one. He's beat a lot of other ones. But I gotta watch that documentary. It's like 4 fucking hours or whatever. I watched that one documentary. 9/11, the new Pearl Harbor. I think that's what it's called. Now it's like 4 hours. I've listened to a 27-hour podcast before. I consume so much information. I want all the facts, long form. I want all the details. But I'm going to sleep now. Deuces.